He doesn't play the political game. He is a true patriot. Today, Dr. Ron Paul joins me on Off the Grid. Welcome, everyone. You know, not too many people have the courage to come on Off the Grid with me. There's not too many politicians in the United States that would dare sit down with me. But today we've got a guest, and this is a man, Dr. Ron Paul, former congressman, who does have courage. He would appear on even my conspiracy theory show. And I want to welcome Dr. Ron Paul. He's a former member of the House of Representatives, serving for many years. He ran for president as the Libertarian candidate in 1988, then as the Republican candidate in 2008 and 2012, the president of the Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity and chairman of the Campaign for Liberty. That's quite a title, Dr. Paul. Thanks for joining me.
Nice to be with you, Jesse. Good to visit again.
Absolutely. Well, let's get right down to it, Ron. You saw the State of the Union address. Your comments on it.
I picked out the part that I thought was the most threatening to our system and our society, and that is when the president was not bashful in sort of wagging his finger at us and saying, and to the Congress, if you don't do as I tell you quickly, I'm just going to issue an executive order. You know, they've been doing that for a long time, and Roosevelt was one that really abused his power, but it's been abused by both Republicans and Democrats. But I thought it was different this time because it was so blatant, it was so above the board. It's sort of like, you know, our country's been involved in assassinations for a long time, but they're sort of covert and secret, and we wouldn't brag about it, we'd hide them. But this president, he's pretty bold. He says, yes, I believe in assassinations, and we have a committee to study it, and we have kill lists. And I think it was sort of this attitude that he had, and this is when he was the most emphatic in that whole hour, where he sort of said, I will do something, I want action, you do it or I'll do it. I thought that was probably the worst part of the speech and the most threatening.
Well, maybe he's being honest, though, Ron. I mean, I kind of like it if he's above board and says it to me rather than not telling me and then secretively doing it.
Yeah, I think this is, in a way, progress. It's not a test as much on him because I think most people are starting to realize what he's up to. But this is a challenge to the people. Now, if the American people just ignore it and say, well, he didn't really mean that, you guys are overreacting, and what will Congress do about it? Do you think the Republican leadership or the John Boehners of the world will stand up to him? There are some members in Congress that will, but unfortunately they're still in a minority and they are not going to be standing up to him. I worry the fact that it's out in the open. Yes, give him a couple points for being blatant and honest with us, but boy, everybody else fails if they listen to this and say, well, that's not so bad. Let a president assassinate American citizens. Let a president go to war like both parties have been allowing without a declaration of Congress. Even on domestic affairs, if Congress doesn't act as quickly as the president wants, then he will take care of this by repealing that provision that Congress is supposed to write the laws, not the president.
Yeah, I think you're exactly correct on that, and I think you make a great point in saying that Barack Obama isn't the first to be doing this, that it's been going on for a long, long time. And it seems, as you said, it's getting more blatant now. They're right out in the open. Now, you know, it's getting shady. Do we really have three branches of government anymore? You know, and I think it all comes back again, like you and I harp on all the time, following the Constitution, following the Bill of Rights. I found it rang hollow when they when he talked about closing Guantanamo. I mean, we've been hearing about that for 4 to 5 years. They're never going to close Guantanamo. Dr. Paul, do you think they will ever close Guantanamo?
Maybe when there's a total bankruptcy and they can't afford it and there are nobody's to pay the guards down there. That's about when it'll happen. But, you know, if we give the president a little bit of credit for at least saying what he wants to do and how authoritarian he wants to be, wouldn't it be neat if we had somebody at the Federal Reserve come clean and say, you know, this is what our real agenda is with monetary policy. It's to take care of all the special interests. It's to take care of our friends on Wall Street. It's to finance the wars. It's to, promote the welfare state. But, don't hold your breath on that. I would think it would be pretty neat. I've always Edward Snowden came clean. Wouldn't it be neat if we had somebody really come clean and be a whistleblower on the Federal Reserve from the inside? And us trying to figure it out from the outside. And the one place where they're the most resistant is in the area of foreign affairs, you know, what they do with overseas. And they did a lot of it to the tune of trillions of dollars after the bubble burst in '08. And that means they can pass out trillions of dollars to other central banks, other governments, foreign banks, and it's a pretty powerful organization.
Do we have a chance against them, or are we pounding our heads against the wall?
Well, I wouldn't do this if I didn't think there was a chance. Be engaged in trying to get information out. But I don't do this as a politician, and that is the reason that my approach in Washington was different. A lot of people used to ask me, "Don't you get frustrated up there with all those people you have to deal with, and you never get anything really passed?" And I said, "Well, you know, I don't have a high expectations of ever having changed it that way. But my idea is trying to reach the people and change their minds to reject Keynesianism, to reject the Federal Reserve System, to reject paper money, and look to the Constitution." And that's where we're making progress. But I don't think we can have a whole lot of success until they're totally discredited. But believe me, and I'm sure you're aware of it, there's a lot of lost confidence in government. I think it's wonderful that they're not trusting our government officials. They believe we're being told lies. Edward Snowden now has not been totally destroyed by the media and the government, and people are starting to recognize that they want to hear the truth. And I think their system is going to fail. Their foreign policy is going to fail. The monetary policy is going to fail. The welfare state is going to make sure that we go broke, and they won't be able to just keep passing out more food stamps. So it'll come to an end, and the big question is, what is it going to be replaced by?
Yeah, for sure. Going on to the Snowden thing, I heard he got nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Is that correct?
I hadn't heard that.
I did an interview.
Hope, but you know, one thing is you have to question the Nobel Peace Prize. Remember, our president, by the week after he was sworn in, he got the Nobel Peace Prize before he had a chance to start a new war. So yes, I think Edward Snowden deserves the recognition.
Well, the point I'm going to make on that could very well save his life. The fact that he got nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, because there was rumblings in this country. I read some of it on the internet where there were people that wanted him killed. They wanted him put to death. You know, that they view him as such a traitor to our country and all this. And I think by him getting this nomination, it may very well save his life.
Well, let's hope so, but it's only been within a couple of weeks that I heard on the favorite Republican news station that they thought he should be executed. And believe that he's committed treason. So it's still out there, and a lot of the people in Washington believe that is the case. But hopefully public opinion will be swayed, will help sway a different attitude. And I think your point, being nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, might help call attention in a positive way to what Snowden has done.
Yeah, no, you know, to me, I mean, how can they sit and call someone a traitor who has exposed the government for the lying and the breaking of our Constitution? I mean, that is a hero, Dr. Paul, somebody who's willing to take on the U.S. government with the truth. They are spying on us. It's all true. And it's the classic case of them trying to kill the messenger, not the message.
Well, you know, they said that his crime was that he was turning over secret information to the enemy. But we have learned that he has not turned it over to the Soviet or the Russian government or the Chinese government. There's no evidence of that, and there's no evidence that anybody has suffered the consequence. But he has turned it over to us, the people. So maybe the government looks at us as the enemy.